This podcast contains explicit content.
My hands are sweaty.
Why?
He's weak. Mom's
I don't know, but they're sweaty and they're all. What did he say?
Hardly focused.
Anytime, dude. Anytime there's an Alice in Chains bed, you gotta do it. We're Hardly Focused. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Hardly Focused Podcast. That's our Facebook page. We're also on Twitter. You can find us at Focused Hardly. Focused Hardly. That's us on Twitter. So the coronavirus is still a thing, and it's going to be until a vaccine is actually mass-produced, developed and mass-produced. And until then, even if things start to ease up, we're still going to have to social distance and wear face masks and
drink bleach and put sunshine up your asshole.
all of those things.
I mean, I was doing that before, but sure.
That's why you don't have it, right?
That's exactly why I was pretty immune, really.
It's going to be a, obviously a challenging while. It doesn't help that we've got other problems in the world, which we'll get into later. But
What? It's sunshine and roses, man.
the good news is most states across the union are starting to, despite not having a vaccine actually fully developed and in production, most states in the union are starting to ease up on restrictions. Some have already done so and have been doing so, like in Florida, for example.
Arizona.
Florida's Florida, but at least there, like I work with folks who are based out of Florida, and they're back working in their offices. I have a friend who's been posting on Facebook pretty much every night that he's been going to the bar because he can go again. Universal Studios actually just opened a few days ago. They're running at like half capacity, but they're open, so that's a start. Other states are very, very, very slowly starting to ease things up. New York being an obvious example. I think they're starting everyone's doing it in phases too, right? New York is doing, I think, phase 1 starting this coming Monday. Because they've been obviously the hardest hit out of anybody. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, New York is actually, they surpassed Italy, right? In terms of cases and severity.
So did Massachusetts as well.
Oh, yeah, well, good for us. I mean,
Yeah. Hey, we're number one, right? But New York and Massachusetts as a whole are more than most countries.
Wonderful. So this coming Monday, technically tomorrow, phase 2, we've already been in phase 1. Phase 2 is going to start. I'm excited about this because a lot of restaurants, especially obviously the local restaurants, they've been struggling for the last few months for obvious reasons. Just trying to survive on doing takeout.
The smart ones are doing great. I'll tell you that.
The ones
I've got a couple of restaurants that we've gone to and are like, yeah, we are actually pretty fucking busy. I'm like, all right, good.
Yeah,
no worries.
That's great to hear. There's a pizza place down the street from my house that stayed open for the first like week and a half after the executive order was made official for all non-essentials to close. They tried to just do takeout and delivery. They lasted, I shit you not, a week and a half, and they've been closed ever since. And I honestly don't think they're going to reopen. They said that they were closing for the safety of their employees. No, because other places have largely been able to figure out how to operate, and if they were on the, if they had any inclination that they weren't going to do well, they just straight up said, hey, we're not reopening. We're either going to use the opportunity to retire and finally close our business, or hey, honestly, we're just not doing well financially, and this was the the final nail in the coffin. This pizza place has just been, it's just a BS excuse, and I don't know if they're actually going to reopen come Monday. The local comic book store near my house, they've been doing curbside. They're finally going to reopen proper tomorrow. They can only do like 10 people in the store at a time, but it's progress.
It's somewhere.
Yep. So the local businesses all reopening. Malls, I guess, are going to reopen too, except the mall near me. They put concrete barriers in front of all of the entrances because of the protests and the general unrest.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I live in suburbia, so I haven't really seen anything.
Yeah, I don't know if they did it just as a precaution or if the malls were actually broken into, but that was a thing that was happening closer to Boston, is that malls were actually getting broken into and people were looting, as we all saw in like Newbury Street, for example, or
let's be honest, Newbury Street kind of deserves a little bit of looting. Let's be real. $800 for a blouse. Get the fuck out of here.
The only thing Newbury Street has that is worth going to Newbury Street for is the original Newbury comics. Yep. So
was that broken into, where they're like, no, that's inviolate. You cannot touch the Newbury comics.
that would be fucking funny if someone like actually tried to break in and people were like, no,
no,
you touched the Burberry next door. You do not touch Newbury comics.
With rolled up newspaper? No.
See, just a bunch of thugs just guarding the door.
Rolled up newspaper and a spray bottle of water.
Yeah. This is a safe zone. We do not touch this one. It's almost like a religious deity. You cannot hurt a man of God. You cannot hurt a store of nerds.
Oh, righty then.
Oh, I'm sorry, Cooper. God damn it. Cooper likes to sit like at my feet under my desk, but I can't see him. So he typically falls victim to my foot.
Do what I do. Make them leave the room and close the door behind them.
You know what? That is, if he starts being annoying, then maybe. But
and if they get extra loud, find another door in between that door and close those doors.
Lock him in a cage. Yeah. Sorry, Cooper.
Or the basement.
Anyway, so I guess in New Hampshire, they're one step ahead of us.
Live for your die.
And Rhode Island too, where I guess in Rhode Island, a lot of businesses and indoor seating for dining, those options have already been on the table and people have been utilizing them. And now in New Hampshire, very soon, I don't think there's a concrete date for this, but restaurants in New Hampshire can start offering indoor dining. So I was curious because I knew Massachusetts was high. It was right up there with having some of the highest number of cases in the country for the COVID, along with deaths. So in Massachusetts, as of recording, confirmed cases 103,000, confirmed deaths 7.3.
Woo, yeah, go Massachusetts. We're number 3 in the worst things,
yeah.
But we're still number 3.
Number three. Yeah, we got the. I mean, we had the Patriots. I mean, Tom's in Florida now, so we don't know how that's gonna go, but we were doing fine.
We got his glory years. He's going right downhill now.
Yeah. So again, 103,000 confirmed cases, 7,300 confirmed deaths, compared to New Hampshire. Compared to Rhode Island, actually, with 16,000 confirmed cases and 800 deaths, and then New Hampshire with only 5,000 cases and 300 deaths. So.
I mean, a lot of it I feel like comes down to the population density in these areas. I mean, Montana, there's not enough people. There's more cows.
They're naturally social distancing every day of the year anyway.
Exactly.
And their population did just hit.
City. We've got a big city. Okay, yeah, Helena. No, get the fuck out of here. Come on.
Look,
Montana.
Look, I've been to Montana. I was near Missoula, which is technically a city, and it's one of the largest in Montana, but it was like the equivalent of Grafton, pretty much. where the
We have a new street sign and a new stop sign. Hey, we're a metropolis.
it's like What's Eating Gilbert Grape, where the whole fucking town has a parade because a fast food place opened. That's pretty much what they do in Montana.
We got ourselves a Dunkin' Donuts.
I mean, that's kind of how it feels around here.
We got ourselves a Sonic burger.
Dude, I would love a Sonic around here.
Oh, yo, I found this completely by accident because I took a night drive a couple weeks ago in Springfield. If you just drive down Route 20 by where the only Golden Corral is in the state, right down the street, Sonic.
Wow.
Speaking of Golden Corral, that one's probably not going to reopen.
You say that. In New Hampshire, Golden Corral, they're going to get their first location, and it's going to open soon because, again, indoor dining is going to become a thing again very soon. With restrictions in place, Golden Corral is going to function as a cafeteria style eatery rather than a buffet.
A full buffet. Yeah, I was gonna say like
Really?
you gotta like buffet styles. They're literally gonna be eliminated at this point. You're not gonna be able to do buffet with everybody's like, well, you touched the handle. Well, 18 people touching the handle as opposed to one server.
Right.
And it's a warm environment too. It's not even like,
Oh my God, yeah.
it's ripe for that kind of stuff.
It breeds.
Yeah. You've got the chocolate fountain. You've got the chocolate fountain there too, and that's always a petri dish for disease.
Ugh.
Especially
Dude,
with
I
the
don't know
kids.
if I would have trusted that even before the
I
corona.
dip my dick in the chocolate fountain.
3 layers of hard shell on.
Oh God. At work, we had a chocolate fountain for, I think, Valentine's Day last year, and a bunch of people got like norovirus because of it. And people are asking me like, hey, you're like the only one here. How come you're not sick? I'm like, because I knew well enough not to use the chocolate fountain.
You're gonna have a bad time, okay?
Yeah, I've certainly had my share of the runs because of Golden Corral, but it wasn't because of food poisoning. And as long as, even if they're doing cafeteria style, as long as I can still get my plate full of bread, then I'm happy. Because that's what I do at Golden Corral.
18 pieces of bread. More.
That's what I do. That's exactly what I do. I go and I fill my plate up with, everything around the buffet, and then I go and get a second full plate and just load it up with bread. Just those rolls, like a mountain of rolls. They have the best bread. I would put that at number 1 next to like Texas Roadhouse.
Ooh,
Isn't
is
that-
that also because Texas Roadhouse has their butter that goes with the bread?
The accoutrements definitely help. Like Not Your Average Joe's also has really good bread, but the thing that makes it as good as it is it comes with that cheese and oil combination.
So it's not the bread, it's the accoutrement.
Yes. Massachusetts, I think now everyone's given Charlie Baker grief for how
Who?
things have been handled.
Who?
Charlie Baker.
No, Charlie Baker.
Charlie Baker. Sorry.
Charlie.
Charlie Baker and Marty Walsh guy.
Thank you.
People are giving him grief. I mean, you can only do so much, right? I mean, I'm not well informed enough on politics to form a cohesive opinion. I don't have any qualms about the way things have been handled. I mean, I understand businesses want to reopen, but we also, again, 3rd place for number of confirmed cases and deaths. So the way he's been handling it, I have no problem with it, as long as the numbers continue to go down and then don't spike again.
We're very corporatized over here in the States. So, I mean, they're like, oh, our profit margins, my profits. It's like, oh, well, sorry for trying to keep you all alive, man. Like, what do you want?
I mean, the good thing is, at least in Massachusetts, a lot of businesses, and I'm not saying all, but a lot of businesses are, that white collar office business where they have the option of, figuring out how to do remote working, as opposed to, hey, it's West Virginia, we work at a coal mine.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hey, to be
Exactly
fair,
that remote.
To be fair.
to be fair, The call center that my company uses goes through West Virginia. They've been remote, and I mean they can exist remotely because that's all they do is remote support. So to them, it's basically just shift office from office to your house.
Side
And they
note:
were
West
fine.
Virginia is remote.
It is.
I've been told.
Locations.
I've been told.
Take me home.
I've been told it's almost heaven, West Virginia, with the Blue Ridge Mountains and the Shenandoah River.
I mean, it's a gorgeous looking place, but it's one of those places that if you don't already have money, you don't move there unless you expect to be poor.
Yeah. As the Fallout series tends to do, because I've been playing so much 76 lately, my Pip-Boy from 76, it takes place in West Virginia. I really want to go to West Virginia now because the world in that game is just beautiful.
Didn't you do that with Vegas? You played Fallout New Vegas, then you went and like saw McCarran, and you went to everywhere else.
I've done the New Vegas tour. I went to Good Springs, and in the saloon in Good Springs, which is faithfully recreated in New Vegas. They actually do have a framed, signed copy of New Vegas on the wall.
Wow.
Nice.
Because their tourism went up. It's literally like there's like 4 buildings in this town, but people go because of New Vegas. So yeah, it's also just to see too. Like I'm interested in like, cool, how many creative liberties did the developers take with digitizing and making a replica of this area? But yeah, I really actually want to see West Virginia now, even though it's mostly, again, just forests and large mutated frogs, as I understand.
I find no issue there.
Some questions for you guys. Things slowly starting to return to quote unquote normal, and they say it's, things are going to be the new normal going forward, yada yada, etc. So with things returning to normal, coupled with all the protests and unrest that's going on, are you guys afraid that we are at risk for seeing another spike in COVID cases?
How long of an answer do you want?
The floor is yours, Mr. Tarara.
So the short answer is there. Anytime that you're, condensing people in an area, and as an outbreak of something, there is naturally going to be that increase. I mean, we saw that with the other protests about COVID 3 and 4 weeks ago at this point, which is why Arizona is almost maximum capacity in their ICU beds, and why Florida and the other southern idiot states are also having a spike. The larger problem is while most of the protesters were wearing masks at this point, whether it was because of COVID or they didn't want to get tear gassed, or whether they didn't want to be identified is another matter. But most of them were wearing masks at this point. The problem is the police were not distributing. They weren't dispersing the crowds. They were doing the opposite. A lot of police forces in the non-kumbaya areas of the country were kettling, which is a tactic of actually getting all the people in a condensed area. So a lot of protests were actually maintaining some social distancing a little bit, but when you're shoulder to shoulder because the police are barricading you in on 3 sides and then firing tear gas indiscriminately, which of course, what does tear gas do? It inflames your mucous membranes, which is really great when there's a virus on the loose, so that you can't breathe and you're hacking up particles in the air. So yes, is it going to go up? Yes. Are the fucking right-wing idiots going to be like, see, I told you they shouldn't have fucking protested, man, they're getting the diseases? And then the left wing's going to be like, hey, fuck you, it's because the goddamn cops were firing tear gas indiscriminately into our fucking groups, you dickheads. So yes, it's going to go up. There's going to be blame on both sides, but you know what? Is it worth protesting police brutality? Maybe, and that's the risk they took. End of rant.
Thanks, Mike. Do we know why Rhode Island?
The mafia.
The mafia. Okay, Kurt Schilling. Okay, there you go. Do we know why Rhode Island has been partially reopened for the last few weeks, despite having a higher number of cases in both higher figures in both reported cases and deaths compared to New Hampshire?
The mafia. I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't know. It's just this small fucking state, so they're like, we got to do something. We can't go to Connecticut because they shut us down. So,
I would say, to piggyback on Mike's comment, the mafia, using it as a great way of hiding bodies. Yeah, man, you got the corona. I don't understand where the gunshots came from, but the corona really got him there.
I wonder too if it's I made the Kurt Schilling crack just now, but that the state was in a lot of financial duress, due in part to him, in the failure of 38 Studios. I mean, granted, that was almost a decade ago, but still, like, that's what was that, like a $70 million loan that the taxpayers have to pay back now? So I wouldn't be surprised if they're literally going to risk their health over over finances and keeping their economy afloat. So with everything,
percentage-wise, though, is it the same percentage of population with New Hampshire and Rhode Island being the amount of cases? Is that what it may be too? Like, it's not just numbers themselves. Like in New York, you have a massive amount of numbers, but it is also buoyed by the fact that you've got millions of people there. If you had the same number of death, from New York in Wyoming or Montana, I mean, the entire state would be dead. So it may be percentages. So New Hampshire's percentage is on average a little bit lower, a little bit higher maybe than Rhode Island? Question mark.
Yeah, actually, I'm not sure what the population of either state is. Let's
To the Google.
let's see. Let's see. New Hampshire has 1.36 million. And
Trojans,
and Little Rhodey has about 1 million.
Oh, okay.
1.059.
Right. I mean, New Hampshire is also massively large compared to Rhode Island, so
Yeah, Rhode Island, everyone's basically crammed.
you can physically spit from one side of the state to the other.
Yep. Well, why do they call it an island?
Passing COVID. So,
So with everything in our state reopening soon, Mike, I'll start with you. What are you planning to do first?
I mean, the first thing I'm gonna do, which was allowed on the 5th, is return all my redeemables. So, and not every state does this, but as most of you see in the entire country, you have those redeemable 5 cents MAVT, and like if you're in Nebraska, you're like, fuck, I don't get my 5 cents. Yeah, so I think I've got like 10 times the amount of returnables that I usually have. So that's number one. Go get my like $25 in candy.
Oh, my father would like come close to eviscerating me if I ever if I like crushed a can and did anything to the barcode, because then he couldn't get his 5 cents.
Oh yeah.
Fro, what about you?
I'm going camping.
Nice.
You can do that now.
Technically camping is opening up tomorrow as well.
Really?
If you're in a campground, I think what it is they're not worried about people like me who are just like solo camping for the sake of hiking. They're worried about like those like RVers that are backing their shit in and having like rip roars with 40 other people. So that's
Like
what they're worried
car
about.
camping, not camping.
Exactly. I mean, for me, it's like, dude, the idea of me going camping is I'm trying to distance myself from people. So, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm going to be doing.
Oh, well, it doesn't help.
Sir, you're within 100 yards of me. Please leave.
It doesn't help when you you drive by like hiking paths, trails where they have parking, and then the cars are just the streets are lined with cars.
I got nothing else to do. I might as well go hiking. So it's like everybody else.
Yep.
Yep.
And I see some really people that have never hiked in their life sweating balls because they're like 5 feet from the trailhead.
I've only encountered one person who made a big stink about social distancing, and it shouldn't shock you at all that it was at Whole Foods, and it was someone who worked at Whole Foods. Yeah. So everyone else, like, if I see someone, like if I'm at the supermarket, for example, and I see someone like walking towards me, I'll like just kind of move over to the side, but I'm not gonna like, unclean. I'm not gonna do any of that. I don't know if I'm gonna do That's Entertainment tomorrow. I imagine that might be busy. But I might do the Hall of Comics I think they're in Southborough. They I don't know, for some reason they've been doing well, but I think they might have their foot traffic might be a little less just given their location. So I might check them out just because I have really been pushing for the local entertainment business to reopen. And
I'm just gonna go to Hobby Lobby and lick my palms and touch everything.
Yep. While talking about the lack of the lack of God. So
how did you know?
Cool. So that's it. We'll see how this goes. I hope things stay the way they are despite everything starting to reopen, and only hope that we can get a actual vaccine developed. So
people won't use it anyway. You fucking know that.
Yeah, I say that, and I can't remember the last time I got a flu shot, for example. So, unless it becomes like a requirement to get work or go to school, sort of like.
Oh God, I say this. I hope so. However, my fucking pet peeve on the internet is fucking anti-vaxxers. Mm-hmm. So that's my fucking trigger. So. I know for a fact that there are going to be some vocal fucking anti-science morons. Now, granted, I do want to see a proper amount of trials for this because it is a new thing. Same thing with the Gardasil when it first came out. People were like, I don't trust it. Like, well, most of those claims of like, oh, it gave me like fucking multiple sclerosis. Lies. They were looking for a fucking attention. Like the people that said they have cancer, and then booked up a $400,000 donations, So it's like that. Make sure that it's legitimately okay. We're not getting the lobster people, and then we're good to go. Start pumping it. But I think knowing that the amount of the uptick in anti-vaxxers, they're going to like double check. They're like, hey, we ran this through 18,000 people, and everybody's okay. Unlike the hydroxychloroquine, you're getting fucking heart attacks on.
Yeah. Well, our president does it. He's been taking it.
Oh, now he's done doing it now. He said so. So now he's just hiding out in his bunker away from everybody like a bitch.
Yeah, he's just he's inspecting it.
Like a little bitch.
He's inspecting it. He's not hiding out in it. He's inspecting it.
Every single time everybody was saying something, all I could hear was that Fallout voice from a raider. Every single time. Exact tone. Oh, hiding, huh? You're scared like a little bitch.
Tunnel snakes rule. Okay, we'll be back.